Hey, we're in the 2024 Honda Prologue. This is Honda's first fully electric vehicle. I should say mass market because the Clarity came out a few years ago. This is actually made in Mexico at a General Motors plant. And look at all this space in here. This is my first time opening this up. All right, so let's talk about the goods underneath the hoods. We have an 85 kilowatt battery in this that is standard throughout all the trim levels. This is the touring, sorry, excuse me, this is not the touring, this is the elite model, which has the bigger wheels on it, more equipment. Coming in at around $60,000. You can get this in front wheel drive or all wheel drive. Front wheel drive is on 212 horsepower, all wheel drive I want to say is around 288 horsepower. 0 to 60 should be around 6 seconds or so in the all wheel drive model. 273 miles of range, I believe is what this one is rated at. Of course, as you get the front wheel drive and the smaller wheels and the lesser trims, you're supposed to be able to get close to 300 miles of range. And we'll do some efficiency testing today. My lens was fogging up because it's Florida and it's morning and I was in the air conditioning. You come out here and then things get real foggy. I'm also at the airport, which is pretty cool. I don't know if you see the jet taking off, I'm sure you can hear it. But yeah, the Honda Prologue, one of its greatest features in my opinion is its looks. Looks kind of like retro, a little bit 80s styling, very Honda, very minimal. And of course you're gonna have active shutters there at the bottom, fog lights there, very simple daytime running lights. This has the biggest wheels in the Prologue lineup, kind of these flower petal. These are 21s. Anytime you put 21s on a vehicle, your efficiency is going to go down. The bigger the wheel, the more mass that is rotating, the more energy it takes to move those big wheels. This is a very long vehicle. It's kind of similar in dimensions to, let's say, the Passport from Honda, and it is much wider than the Passport and the CR-V, if I remember correctly. It can charge about 150 kilowatts peak charging, maybe a little bit faster. I think the AC fast charging in here, if you have a fast level 2, is the most impressive at just over 11 kilowatts. This Elite trim has a lot of glossy black bits to it. Coming around the back, very simple rear end, but it does look really nice. Now this is the first Honda I've seen without the Honda badge on the back. It has it typed out. It does have E all-wheel drive. This is kind of Honda's electric badge and hybrid badge in other markets. In the United States, they still have the hybrid badge. But in Japan and Europe, they use this even on their hybrid models. Of course, all-wheel drive, the Elite trim right there, parking sensors back here, lots of glossy bits, of course. Now, I was able to load up all this cargo space. We went to Sam's Club, got tons of groceries, and I had no problem fitting all that, so that's one of the big benefits of this Prologue. Here's Honda's little charger back there, and you have a little bit of underfloor storage. Doesn't look like there is a spare tire, all right? You could fold those seats down, but let's talk about the Smart Key Access. I love that we have buttons on both of these handles. That makes getting kids in easier because if the car's locked, I just press this button, kids can get in after I pull open the door. Now these handles are glossy. And I don't know if it's gonna pick it up in the camera, but these glossy handles get really dirty. Your hands are always on them, all right? So they look good from afar. You get up close and you start to see that they get dirty fingerprints everywhere. We do have privacy screening back here, which means like tinted windows, right? Hard touch, a little bit disappointing there for such an expensive vehicle, but this caramel interior is actually quite nice. Very soft, very premium. Kids have had tons of space back here, taking them to school. I love this black and tan interior. Folding this down, nice. It feels actually really nice. I love the little dimples in here, and we'll talk more about that in the front. I put Abe in here as well in his rear facing seat. That's why these hooks are up. Oh my gosh, super easy. And look how these like stay attached. Most manufacturers, these like pop off and then you have to like store them in here. That's what I do anyway. So I like that feature. Look at this flat floor, USB-Cs, traditional plug-in, little storage. Also have a couple of vents back here, map packets on each side. Like the room in here is insane, and these seats do recline, it seems like. There's a few different levels of reclining, right? I think 2 different levels there. So kind of nice, appreciate that. But yeah, just tons of space. We got the panel roof here, which I think you can get on lesser trims too, but obviously it's here on the top of the line Elite trim. All right, let's go ahead and get on the inside. This door feels really nice. Feels nice and heavy. I love that. On a door, makes it feel a little bit more premium. Memory seats here, 12 speaker Bose sound system. The Elite has the head-up display, which is really, really crisp, clear, and bright in here. Two 11-inch screens right here, which I believe is standard throughout the lineup. This screen, it gives me a good amount of information. It's not customizable enough for at least in my opinion. This does have Android Auto, or should I say Google built in. Plenty of screens to flip through. You also have efficiency here. These buttons are customizable, so I put Android Auto over here, which is quite nice. Love that feature, but again, if you wanted to use the built-in Google Maps, you have that too. Made a shortcut too as well, my energy information, because it'll tell me like what's going on with the vehicle, which is pretty cool. I love the energy info as well as the trip. And then I can put on these metrics over here, as you can see that I've done. There you have it. I like this screen. Some people say it's a bit clunky. I just wish I could customize this screen a little bit more. That's my only complaint with the infotainment. And customizable screens, easy to get in and out of stuff. It's great. This button up here is one pedal driving. I'm not going to use it. It's a little too, well, I just prefer two pedal driving. That's a personal preference, but you can do different levels of one pedal driving, show on home screen. You can do all that stuff here. I'm going to make sure it is off. This is also how you play with your lights. Okay, so I want to show you guys the lights real quick. I'm going to get out of the car. Okay, daytime running light is still on. It's just not quite as bright with the low beams on. There's a turn indicator. It's actually pretty small, but there you have it on the rear end lights. Look very, very premium as well. All right, climate control is fantastic. I love all these knobs. Like I mentioned, there's the volume knob, heated and ventilated seats. I do have feedback on the screen with what my fan speed is. I don't have like an individual screen down here for my climate control other than these little screens inside of the temperature knobs. All right, ventilated seats work really well in here. Here's a couple USB-Cs, another 12 volt. I love this pad. Look how much space it gives me. Really appreciate that. You do have a wireless charger here. What's the point of these? You see this in the back was kind of those like deformable little bubbles, which do a really good job of holding things in place. These things are absolutely pointless, all right, at least for my big heavy Stanley. So yeah, when I drive this through the turns, my cup's doing this. It's quite annoying. All right, there is no felt in here, which is pretty cheap. Again, the ZDX, which is even more expensive than this, from Acura, built by General Motors, didn't have any felt or fuzziness in there either. So yeah, kind of a cost-cutting measure right there that I always am going to notice. The seats in here are very comfortable. I like the dash, a little too much glossy black, but hey, I actually really like this minimal interior. The Honda badge here, of course. Auto brake hold is over here. Sport mode, I guess maybe we'll do 0 to 60 here in a little bit, and then we're going to get on the highway to do some efficiency testing. Also, you have a regen button right here. Remember that in the ZDX. You hold this and it'll do some regen braking from you. Man, she's punching. She's punching. We're ready to go. She's getting me fired up. Let's go. All right, so to put it into drive, pull it towards you, which is going to put it in neutral, but if you do it faster, it goes to drive. Now, this is I'll start with the video with this. This is the one thing that is honestly a potential deal breaker for me. It might not mean anything for you guys, but for me, I like my cars, especially EVs, to be quiet. I don't like synthetic noise being pushed into the cabin. So when I put it into drive under 24 miles an hour, so 0 to 23, you have this synthetic Honda noise that sounds like, to me, it sounds like a UFO trying to take off or a UFO crashing. Okay, whatever your interpretation is of it. But this synthetic noise, which, hey, maybe I'll just roll down the window. Let's see if the camera will pick it up. And now it gets louder. It gets louder as you accelerate through the 23 miles an hour of where this sound plays through, okay? And then it just cuts off immediately once you hit 24 miles an hour. So it's really, really noticeable. Now Honda has that noise on their hybrids, but it's never that intrusive. Toyota's newest Camry, for example, has a synthetic noise. I don't hear it like at all in the cabin. The Corolla hybrid, the Prius hybrid, I still hear that synthetic noise in the cabin, but this takes the cake for the loudest and the most annoying. So there you have it. Let's move on. The car's really nice otherwise. It's a bit vanilla compared to other EVs. Even in all-wheel drive trim here, it's kind of slow, but I mean, a front-wheel drive is going to be very slow. I'm talking about this all-wheel drive model. 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds. That's definitely not slow, but compared to other EVs in this price range, it's absolutely slow. If you don't care about speed and acceleration, then that won't matter to you. But I might have a straightaway here, so I'm going to put it into sport mode, which, do I have any? Okay, there's just a tiny indicator here on this MID that tells me I'm in sport mode. And go. There's 60. All right, let's slow it down. 0 to 60, 6.21. There you go. That's kind of what I was expecting. 0 to 60. No traction issues there. I'm on a flat surface. So 6.21 to 60 and 6.66 to 100 kilometers per hour. There we go. Double press this button over here to clear off our windows. This vehicle's, other than, the acceleration is okay. The most important thing with the acceleration though is not 0 to 60. Any electric car's specialty is not, I mean, yes, 0 to 60s are good on most electric cars, but their responsiveness is what they are best at. I would say you press the pedal and you're gone. And that's no exception here. When I need to pass someone, as we'll do on the interstate here in a little bit, it's immediate, it's there, it's gonna pull us around. All right, so in town, I've been getting about 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour. I'll multiply that by the usable battery pack in here, which I believe is 83 kilowatt hours. The total capacity is 85. Honda lets you use around 83 kilowatt hours, if I remember correctly. So I'll multiply that. That is the city range. What we're gonna do now is gonna be the highway range. Highway range is gonna be much less. These vehicles aren't as efficient on the highway, especially when you get big wheels like I have in this Elite trim. They're cool looking, I like them, but they're going to sap the range. If you're just driving in and around town, range doesn't matter to you because no one drives around 270 miles in town, right, on a daily basis. You're going to be doing that only on freeway driving, all right, and then you just charge at home. Most people with EVs, well, here's the thing. If you're not charging at home in your EV and you're charging publicly, it's too expensive. One, it's going to cost as much or maybe more as gasoline in some instances. And it's just not convenient, right? Because most public charging stations are out of the way. They're not on every corner. And then you're also spending time out of your day to charge at those stations. And a gas station, it's very rare you're there for more than 5 minutes unless you want to be there longer grabbing snacks or hitting the head or whatever you're doing. Now Cassie's not with us on this drive, but she likes this vehicle. She's ridden in it quite a bit. She likes the looks and she likes the name. She thinks the name's cute. She also rarely enjoys script in place of a badge, like on the back where it says Honda. Here she actually likes the Honda font. Sitting at this light here, I'm reminded that I have that wobbly UFO sound going on. I can hear the diesel trucks around me, of course, but I can still hear this as well. Again, the only way to get rid of it is to put it into park at a stop. So it's a bit frustrating, but I guess you get used to it. Anyways, I can talk about that the whole video because it disturbs my peace that much and that often. There's also another complaint I have, and maybe there's a workaround, I just haven't figured it out with this software. It'll tell me my battery range while the car's on, but it won't tell me my battery state of charge. It just tells me range, which range will change based off of how efficient you're driving. So I guess that's important, but to me, I would rather have battery range, or at least have the option of battery capacity, on my screens. I just can't find it anywhere. And again, there might be a software workaround in here, but I can't find it. I also like this little metric on this trip. Since I've turned this car on today, I've regenerated 6.3 miles. Isn't that crazy? I've gone about 20 miles and I've regenerated 6 miles. That's probably true for most EVs with their regen. And again, I don't have the one pedal driving on here, but the brake pedal acts as a regen, unlike a Tesla. So yeah, I mean, it's cool to have that feature in here. The handling in here is fine. It's great, actually. Like, I have no issues with it. I'm not pushing this family EV around the turns very hard. It feels heavy and planted. So there you go. I don't feel like I'm going to overwhelm the tires at all. The steering is it's fine. It's actually getting a bit stiffer here on the highway as I'm getting a little bit faster. But now we're going to start our highway range test. I might reset a metric here, trip 2 probably. This trip won't go away because this is the trip that started this video. But if I get out of here and go back to here and go to trip, I can click on trip 2, and maybe we're going to reset trip 2 here because it's all going to be highway driving efficiency. So that metric's going to be pretty important when we start recharging this vehicle, and also seeing how much state of charge we have after X amount of miles we travel. All right, so let's get up to speed here. Pedal down. Yeah, it's there. It's just I want a lot more shove. Maybe it's because the last EV I drove had nearly 500 horsepower. That was the GV70 electric. It's fine here. It's going to be more than most gasoline engines for passing responsiveness and satisfaction. But in an EV, I want more. I want more power. I would say, like, in an EV, since they're so heavy, like 400 horsepower is probably the sweet spot. And a gas car, like 300 horsepower, depending on how big the car is, but 300 horsepower is kind of the sweet spot for a gasoline car because they're significantly lighter. All right, so let's go ahead and put on radar cruise control here. Let's see if I know how to use this. And we're going to go ahead and press down to set. It would have been nice if you just press this button, the cruise control button, and if it would just lock in the speed that you're going, but you have to press it and then press set. So it's a two button press instead of a single button press. It is radar cruise control, so I can adjust the gap here from 3 bars to 2 bars to 1 bar. Head-up display is absolutely fantastic here. A lot of head-up displays sit really low to the hood. Ooh, my lane keep was not doing a very good job there. This is supposed to have lane keep assist on it, and I have the little button on down here because it's by your auto brake hold, and it's between that and the sport mode button. Yeah, that was not, I mean, it shows up green here, but it is not doing a good job holding me in the center of the lane. It's nowhere close to Honda's technology. Why do I say I'm in a Honda? Why am I saying that? Because it's built by General Motors, so we're using General Motors technology here. And General Motors has Super Cruise, and there's different levels of that, but it's not in this car. You have to get the ZDX if you want that sort of technology. The lane keep here is, well, it did it there. Okay, it kind of shoved me back into the lane, but it's nowhere as good as the Honda sensing, I would say. It's really wanting to keep me on the right side of my lane. I'm pretty much just going, yeah, I don't like this. This is not good. So again, not a lot of people are going to be driving this a ton on the highway because it's an EV. It doesn't have the max charging standard here. It's a CC1, so you won't be able, or CCS1, you won't be able to charge it at Tesla supercharging stations, at least not yet. Maybe Honda comes out with an adapter for this. I think they have maybe mentioned that, but I think maybe for the next model year it might have CCS. It'll be coming. It's just not here on this model. What does it sound like? Well, tire and road noise is actually pretty minimal, and this is a notoriously loud stretch of road. So Honda's done a really good job mitigating that tire and road noise. But this is where, like, dual pane glass would have came in handy. I can hear quite a bit of wind through the cabin. And when I was in the ZDX, Acura's EV based off this platform, it was quieter than this car. It was smoother than this car. Obviously, it's a luxury car, so it needs to be better in those areas. It's still fine in here. I don't feel like I'm having to yell, but it is noticeable. All right, we've made it to the charging station, so we're going to talk about highway efficiency. Trip 2 here, I reset this when I did my little highway run. It was pretty much as I could at 75 miles an hour. Of course, you're going to have some traffic. There was some short stints where I went above 75 miles an hour, but you can see here, all right, 3 miles per kilowatt hour. On the highway, it was a lot better than I was expecting. All right, so if we take 3 miles per kilowatt hour times 83 usable kilowatt hours, is 249 miles of highway range. Not great by any means, but not as bad as I was expecting. I thought it was going to be, you know, like 220, 230 mile range situation. This is my total trip that I had since I turned the car on. So 46 of these miles or so, we were highway driving. I've actually put 3 more miles on this when the battery's at 100%. And as you can see here, the battery looks like it's at around 75%. It's just not accurate. It doesn't tell me. So we're going to turn off the car. And that's where it tells me, hey, it's 75%. That was just a good guess. All you do is scan this QR code. Again, this Charger EV EPL Evolution. This is a Florida exclusive. We're going to start charging. And this charger goes up to 180 kilowatts. Now keep in mind, this battery, there we go. This battery is mostly full. Again, 75%. I want to see what kind of charging we'll get here on the CCS1. This one always gets me because it has a CHAdeMO too, if you guys want to charge your Nissan Leaf or whatever. And here we go. The battery telling me it's 74% here, which is interesting because in the car it said 75%. I mean, whatever, small discrepancy there. You can see the charging rate ramping up here. Now, I would expect this not to hit the 150 kilowatts of charging or so because of the state of the charge. So it looks like it's tapping out around 73 kilowatts. When I was in the GV70 last week, GV70 was pulling about 170 kilowatts all the way till about 80%, and then it dropped off a cliff to about 11 kilowatts. So let's go ahead and we've already put a kilowatt in here. Again, I'm getting about 3 miles per kilowatt hour. So we got about 3 miles in a minute. At home, it's about 3 miles in an hour on my level 2. All right, so fast charge to 100%, ready in 55 minutes. So that's telling me that we're gonna have a huge drop off in charging speed, and I'll probably charge it to 80 and then tell you guys what's going on with the rate of charge on the charging box. Here's a cool thing about EVs and Android Auto, or sorry, Google built-in, not Android Auto, because if I go to Android Auto, it's not going to give me the information I'm about ready to talk about. I like how snappy the screen is. 21%, so it tells me in an hour and 43 minutes, if I go to this charging station, which will take me 115 miles to get to, an hour and 43 minutes, I'll have a 21% state of charge when I get there. Now, the funny thing is, that is changing because I'm charging it right now. So as I keep charging it up, this number keeps going up, obviously, just slightly. And again, the very frustrating thing here is that doesn't tell me my exact state of charge. I would have to turn the car off again to get the exact state of charge. So, okay, now we've hit 80%, so we're gonna go back outside. And it's still charging decently fast here at 65 kilowatts at 80%. I got about 5% state of charge in about 5 minutes, which is actually pretty slow. More charging details would have to be done on this vehicle to figure out, you know, charging rates over time, things like that. But it is not it's not the quickest charging car at the top end, but honestly hasn't dropped off that much, surprisingly. Sometimes this will go down to like I said on the GV70 around 10 kilowatts, 11 kilowatts after 80%, and that's why it takes so long to get to 100% charging. And even at 81%, it's still pulling about 65 kilowatts here. But we're gonna go ahead and stop the session. Let's stop it on our phone real quick, because I wasn't able to stop it there. Charging has finished. Pretty cool. Again, so I was seeing about 3 miles per kilowatt hour, which is better than I was expecting on the freeway. So again, that's about 249 miles of highway range. And if we look at what it was in town, which is 3.3 with 274 miles of estimated range here with the usable battery. Better on the highway than I was expecting, worse in the city than I was expecting. And then the charging in here, again, not enough time with the charger. The battery was at a higher state of charge than I was expecting. Part of that, I think, was because it's more efficient on the highway than I was expecting. So I had more state of charge on my short trip than I was expecting by the time I charged it back up. All right, with that being said, Honda, your Prologue, it's a fine EV. There's nothing wrong with it other than that annoying sound under 23 miles an hour. It's very good. I like the looks of it. There's a lot of functionality in this vehicle. I would like it to be just maybe a hair faster, a half second faster, 0 to 60, mid fives I think would be perfectly fine. 6.2, as I saw today, is just, it could be better. It's, again, on the highway, I want a little bit more power than what I saw here. So, but overall, the functionality of this vehicle, the switchgear, the touchscreen, everything I really, really like about it. It's just now let's get it more efficient. Let's get a little bit more power in here. Let's keep improving the charging rates on this. But for a first EV, hey, it's a really good job by Honda. And I know it's not really Honda. It's Honda designed, but General Motors engineered through and through and manufactured by General Motors. But that doesn't mean it's a bad EV. It's pretty average as an EV. And if you're just driving around town, it's going to be more than enough range, more than enough vehicle. If you're just driving around town, this thing is, it has a lot of features, a lot of tech, a lot of usability. And I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys for watching. Honda will be coming out with their own branded EVs made in Ohio, as well as Acura branded EVs and maybe even a Fila branded EVs. That's Sony and Honda Mobility's joint venture that is going to be making EVs together. That is all coming starting at the end of next year. Acura will be the first one to have an EV roll out of their EV hub in Ohio. Then it's going to be Honda right after that, and probably a Fila in 2026. So we're about maybe a year and a half away from Honda having their first EV designed and engineered from the ground up by Honda and Acura. We're about a year and a half away from that. So stay tuned. I can't wait to bring you more. But in the meantime, if you can get a screaming deal on the Prologue, get a really good lease deal on it. I wouldn't own it. Like, I've already seen, these sitting on lots for 10 grand off of MSRP with just 1,000 miles on the clock. So it's not going to hold its value well. Lease it, get the EV tax credit, also get the incentives that Honda's throwing in on top of that, and you could have yourself a really affordable lease deal with this Honda Prologue. And like I said, it's a really, really good car for just general EV usage, short stints on the highway, and it's an ace in town with city driving. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.